Good morning, Central Texas. First Alert Meteorologist C.D. Finley here with a brand new episode of Weather Nerds. This is Weather Nerds episode 18. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I apologize for that double intro that you just heard right there. Kind of had a misclick there for a moment if you're watching there on Facebook Live. But thank you all for joining me today. Today is Wednesday, September 10th, and we have some fun topics on in store for you today. Let's go ahead and jump straight in. I'm going to go ahead and turn down our audio just a little bit because I'm kind of seeing we're jumping values here. So I'm going to try to keep myself from having to do as much post-editing as possible. But I do have a special guest with us today. Everybody say hello to our First Alert Meteorologist, Brendan Jackson. Brendan, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. Pretty tired, but this is early for me. I'm used to doing the afternoon shows, so I don't really have to get up this early most of the time.
Yeah, no, I was. If you haven't been watching KDBTX News 10 this morning, I've actually been filling in for our very own Sean Bellafury. He's been gone doing conferences and vacations and things like that. Good news is, if you do watch the morning show and you're getting tired of my old mug, Sean will be back tomorrow. So no, he will be returning, and I will be returning back to a normal sleep schedule.
There you go.
Finally.
Yeah, lucky you.
So today we have a fun topic for this episode 18 of Weather Nerds. This topic is about sports and weather, kind of combining the two, talking about rain delays, weather delays in sports and their impacts on the games, as well as, kind of what the actual weather looked like on the day that caused that specific, instance of a weather delay. And one of the things that, kind of caught my attention to, had sparked the idea for this specific topic today was the Cowboys and Eagles game from this past weekend. I believe it was on Thursday, Friday? When did they play? Was it Friday?
They played, I think they were the Thursday night game.
They might have been the Thursday night game, yeah.
Thursday night game.
Anyway, the Eagles and Cowboys played in week one, and they were in Philadelphia this past week, in the first week of the NFL season here in 2025. And unfortunately for us Dallas Cowboys fans, I'm sure the result was less than satisfactory. It was a close game, though. I admit, it was a very, very close game.
It was. Sounds closer than I expected it to be.
Yeah, it was definitely. Well, and I will say, it started off with a bang, that's for sure, with all the penalties.
Yeah.
Oh, the spitting in Dak's face. That was. I will tell you, that was prime entertainment right there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is because that's actually the first thing that we're going to talk about today in terms of, weather delays in sports and what kinds of things that happen in those kinds of weather delays. Not only what the weather actually is on those days and how it affects the game, but also what's the planning behind it, what's going on in the decision makers' heads, when they have to make these kinds of delays. So if you weren't watching the Cowboys-Eagles game, that it did have a rain delay in it. I believe it was in the second half that was kind of delayed?
Yeah, I think it was sometime in the third quarter. I'm pretty sure it got delayed.
Yeah,
so, it was the second half. Early second half.
Yeah. I would say either third quarter had just begun, or it was the second half that had just ended, or first half that had just ended, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And there were already some storms kind of in the area. I'm about to show you all a screenshot here that I took on an app called Radar Scope. That's an app that many of us meteorologists use to track weather and stuff like that, outside of the stuff that we have here at the station, obviously. But this was a screen grab of that storm that was in Philadelphia for that rain delay during the Philadelphia Eagles versus Dallas Cowboys game. And you can see there, if you looked at there on the bottom part of that storm, just kind of the north and east of the Chester right there, Chester, Pennsylvania, I believe. You see the little lightning marks. There were some definitely frequent cloud-to-ground lightning too, mind you. I mean, we were watching the sportscast of the game, and they showed some sky cams and different views that they had around the stadium. And if you saw that, I mean, you could see multiple bolts of lightning going, not just from cloud to cloud, cloud to ground, which is probably the more dangerous type of lightning. Yeah. And so, I mean, obviously, very, very good call, very good decision on the decision makers at that game to cause that delay. And then even then, it wasn't really much of a long delay. I think it was maybe 45 minutes. To an hour?
It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was here when I went into a delay, and then I went home, and pretty much 10 minutes after I got home, the game started up again because I threw it on TV and. I remember they were airing something else, but
yeah. What I was gonna say too. So when I was watching it on the radar through my iPad phone, whatever I was using, I think I was using my iPad. I took a screen grab, like a screen recording of a radar loop of that particular storm, and what you'll notice is that it was actually moving quite fast. It was booking it just along with all those other storms that were up to the north of it. So it had been raining in most of central Pennsylvania that day. I believe there was a cold front that was rolling through. There was a low-pressure trough kind of set up over the Great Lakes region that kind of sparked these showers and storms. Obviously, you had sufficient moisture there, likely from the middle of the Atlantic, getting a little bit more of that Atlantic moisture there. Yeah, you can see it was clearly a screen recording because of the drop down there. But so that was kind of the setup they had that day. Thankfully, it wasn't a very long rain delay. And one thing that Brendan mentioned to me, too, before we just went on air, or went live, rather, was the Georgia Bulldogs football game. I didn't realize this, but apparently they had some lightning strikes that happened there, too. So one thing I wanted to show you here was something the SEC posted on X or Twitter, whatever you'd like to call it now these days. But this was from the rain delay, the weather delay, and you can see the photo there in the background. Got clearly a lightning bolt right there.
That is a big boy.
That is a big old cloud ground lightning bolt. Look, it's very blue right there in the middle, too. You got all the different streamers and stuff coming off
pretty,
of it.
That's for sure.
And keep in mind, you have thousands of people sitting here in the stands while that lightning is happening. So, needless to say, I think it goes without saying that these weather delays were very, very much, needed weather delays. So good on the people who do all the decision making there. One thing I wanted to mention too, remember Dr. Claesel from University. So Brendan and I, if you didn't know, we both went to the University of Oklahoma up in Norman. That's where we both got our degrees from. And Dr. Claesel, he did a whole bunch of classes at OU. He was also pretty much the head of the decision making for all the football games, sporting events and stuff like that. When there was active weather going on and someone had to make a call for a rain delay, weather delay, whatever, he was the man who was likely making the call. And the fun thing I love about Dr. Claesel is not only was he calling those kinds of shots for the Oklahoma Sooners in terms of, weather delays and stuff like that, pretty sure he's a Texas Longhorn, too. He is from the Austin area.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he was a UT grad.
So, Dr. Claesel, if you're watching, shout out to you. I did an interview with him once when I was in school, when we were in school doing OU Nightly and stuff. I talked to him every once in a while. I never took a class with him, unfortunately. I kind of wish I did.
Yeah, neither did I. I got to talk to him a couple times in the hall. Actually, I talked to him a little bit for my capstone project, which the capstone is basically just a project that every senior has to do at the end of the year. It's like a research project.
Yep. Mine was on lake effect snow. That was a fun one.
That's nice. Yeah. Mine was on the War-on forecast system.
That may be another thing that we have to do on the Weather Nerds podcast. Maybe kind of walk everybody through our capstone project.
That would not be a bad idea. Honestly. That would be a lot of fun. Because I still have my poster. Actually, it's sitting in my apartment. So.
I'm pretty sure my buddy Noah, who works for a station up in Idaho, I'm pretty sure he ended up with our poster.
There you
go. We'll have to. I'm going to put that one on the back burner. That's another idea for another day of Weather Nerds. That being said, though, so Dr. Claesel, shout out to you. He's a very, very funny man from what I hear. Very great at teaching all of his classes that he did. I think, which classes did he do? Severe and unusual weather?
No, he did. He may have done severe and unusual. I know he did like the advanced applied forecasting. Or it
was one of the higher level classes.
It was an elective. I know that he may have done severe and unusual.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from the college days, we were talking about him because he did all the weather delays and stuff. He was in charge of all that at OU. And another thing, funny thing about the Lightning. So you saw the picture there about the Georgia football game against who were they playing? Let me pull that picture.
Austin.
It was Austin P. Austin P. Yeah, that's a college.
I think that's how you pronounce that.
That I have never heard of in my life.
But I've heard of it. I still have no idea how to pronounce that second word.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to the whole lightning thing. Some of you Central Texans or just Texans in general, may remember this one. So this was well over a decade ago at this point. In fact, this was July 8th. 2012. I'm a personal fan of this one, just not only because of the reactions of all the players on the field, but because it's from one of my favorite sports teams of all time, the Texas Rangers. They were playing the Minnesota Twins on July 8th, 2012, excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and mute us here. Go ahead and check out this clip that I'm about to show you, because it is quite hysterical, but also kind of showcases why, weather delays are a thing.
You can tell he's talking to the umpire.
Wow. That knocked. The players are coming off the field whether they want them to or not.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Willingham at first base went down on all fours. I don't blame him. Wow.
That knocked me down.
That thing came out of nowhere.
Sure did. My goodness. So we're going to have a delay here, more of lightning and safety right now than anything. And Chuck Morgan's suggestion is being heeded by the folks in the upper deck. They are heading for some cover.
Well, I tell you, the first people off the field were the players. They weren't, except for those four.
Goodness. So we are going to put a halt to things. They're going to put the tarp on. Apparently rain heading this way also. Temperatures cooled off dramatically. It's down to 80 degrees. And here's what happened in case you weren't paying attention at that moment.
Watch Willie. I thought he was under attack.
Yep.
And I don't blame him.
Everybody on the field had the same reaction.
Not taking any chances.
No.
I'd be right there with.
Anyway, so that's that clip. I love that clip because it's
a great one.
Well, and sitting there watching Adrian Beltre and Elvis Andrus and Ian Kinsler all sitting there they're the only ones left on the field, and they're all goofing around about it. Meanwhile, the pitcher, the catcher, the outfielders, everybody else is already in the dugout. So it's
the umpires were already in the clubhouse. They were gone. they were gone.
Definitely and it almost looked, at first glance when I watched it, I was like, is this a bolt from the blue? Because it looked, I mean, if you look at the sky in the video, it didn't seem all too gray. But then we started doing a little bit of research, and it looked like there may have been, based on some of the weather maps and stuff, historical data that's kept by the National Weather Service. It looked like there was a cold front that was kind of set up to the north that day that sparked off those storms. So, I mean, it was July 8th, so that's kind of late storm season. But I mean, it's not out of the ordinary that we see something like that during that time. But
especially a decent amount of daytime heating, get a little pop up thunderstorm, little extra lift there, or buoyancy.
Yeah, there you go, exactly.
Daytime boys.
And I'm going to say, I can show y'all too, so I'm going to try my best to show you all here without having my audio mess up. I'm a little weary about trying to show you things on our little Mac computer right here, because the last time I tried doing it, the audio went all kinds of crazy on me. So forgive me if something weird happens here, but hopefully nothing weird happens. Let me see if I can't find the correct data here. So what I'm about to show you, this is from the National Weather or the Storm Prediction Center. They have an archive of all of the upper air maps. And before I move forward, I want to make sure that, okay, it sounds like the audio is going okay. So I'm not going to worry too much about it at the moment. But this is an archive of all the upper air maps, surface maps, etc., that the Storm Prediction Center keeps. And keep in mind, it keeps everything in Zulu time, so you kind of have to have a good idea of what Zulu time is in order to find this stuff. So, for example, the game that we're looking for was on July 8th, 2012. So we're going to put in 12:07. Oh, except it's not making... I'm typing on the wrong keyboard. Whoops. That would be my problem. 12:07, and then instead of 08, we're actually going to go 09. So the next day at 0Z, which would be about 7 p.m. Central Time, I believe. So technically, even though it says July 9th, 0Z, this is actually July 8th, 7 p.m. Central Texas Time. And then we can go through here. I believe we were looking at the surface maps, and then you can hit Get Image, and it'll pop up right here. It'll pop up with all these different little wind barbs. You can see these blues right here indicating the wind direction. These little black bars right here, these are actually called ISO bars, kind of indicating the different levels of pressure. The red right here, that's the temperature. Green right here is the dew point. And if you look closely, you'll notice the wind barbs are pointing in different directions. So in northern Oklahoma that day, they had winds out of the north, And in parts of central Texas and north Texas, they had winds out of the south-southeast, indicating there was likely a cold front right here, kind of draped somewhere over Oklahoma and into the Red River region. I mean, look at the difference in temperatures. In Dallas, it was 95 that day at the peak of the temperatures at 0Z, and then in southeastern Oklahoma, 74 degrees. So there was clearly something happening right there. Unless maybe there could have been a pop-up storm over the sensor at that point, but I mean, who knows?
Potentially, but I mean, yeah, still.
The direction of the wind barbs is probably enough to tell me that there was at least some sort of boundary there that was sparking off the storms that day on July.
Yeah, that's
July
for
8th.
sure. And yeah, I mean, even if it was just a pop-up shower that was holding over the sensor, keeping that temperature down, it's still pretty indicative of just kind of what was going on across the entire area. Just a good amount of just pop-up showers and thunderstorms.
Yep. So if you were curious, I'm not going to go too much further into that because I know those kinds of maps can look complicated if you're not someone who knows what they're looking at. But if you're curious, you can go to this Storm Prediction Center and find an archive of all those upper air maps and dive a little bit further into it than we are today. But clearly, there was stuff going on in the atmosphere that caused that lightning strike that spooked everybody at the Rangers game. And then again, that was July 8th, 2012. So on the other side of things, the non-weather side of things, I looked up just because I was curious what the results of that game were. So you may have noticed they were playing the Minnesota Twins that day. And let's see, I'm going to pull it up right here. So this is all the stats on baseballreference.com. They were playing the Minnesota Twins. The rain delay happened in the top of the fourth inning there with one out and a runner on first. And the final score of that game after what I believe was a hour 45 minute long rain delay. I remember reading it somewhere. Yeah. I don't remember the exact stats. But it was a pretty decent rain delay. After that rain delay, the game finished with the Rangers being victorious over the Twins, 4-3. And it looked like the Rangers actually had a pretty good winning record that year, 52-34. And of course, that was 2012, so that would have been early 2010s in the peak days of Elvis Andrus, Adrian Beltre, Josh Hamilton, that whole crew. Unfortunately, I think the Rangers did make the playoffs that year. I think they lost in the wild card, though, from what I remember. And in fact, I think that was actually the first wild card game that the MLB had instated. So, interesting stuff there. We're getting into all kinds of statistics today on Weather Nerds, both weather-related and sports-related. So, but yeah, so that was one of the more famous ones. If you go look on YouTube, that's where I found that video that I was showing you. It has millions of views, I'm sure. Very popular rain delay video. There is one more rain delay that I kind of want to show you here, and this one is a little bit more popular, I feel like, because of who it happened to and what the result was. It's not very often that, obviously a rain delay is going to impact the game, right? You get a delay, you have fans there, everybody has to run inside. But I don't think it's very often that the rain delay itself actually impacts the outcome of said game. And there's only one instance that I can think of off the top of my head. That, of course, is the 2016 World Series with the Chicago Cubs against the then-named Cleveland Indians. They're now the Cleveland Guardians. But let's go ahead and take a look here at this clip.
You're not going to believe this. Just as we get ready to start the 10th, the grounds crew is told by this umpiring crew and the crew chief, John Hirschbeck, to bring out the tarp. Done it before. Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over, and the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
So I hear a clip or see a comment from someone on our Facebook page. I apologize. I realized I forgot to unmute us during that one clip. between the World Series clip and the clip that I just showed you. Essentially what I was saying was that the rain delay happened, and to kind of recap, Dexter Fowler, who was the center fielder for the Chicago Cubs during their run, went into the locker room, gave a motivational speech during the rain delay. They came out of the rain delay and then eventually won the game, and you saw the iconic call there in that particular clip. So that's what I was explaining there. Apologize for the mic cut off there. But yeah, very, very cool story. I mean, it's probably one of the cooler stories I've seen around a rain delay in any sporting event ever. I don't know about you. But.
No, yeah, that's it's got to be. I mean, that's what the turnaround there, just the firing up the team, and also, the whole side for the fans as well. No Cubs fan at that point had seen a World Series win in their lifetime. And
108 years, man.
Just all of a sudden, like it's tie ball game going into the bottom of the ninth. Yeah. And you have to wait even longer. Just the sheer amount of anxiety there is insane. Actually, it's funny. Like even after the rain delay, you could see it in that last clip. Chris Bryant over third base, who made the last out. You can actually see him slip as he's throwing the ball. He almost threw it away. Yeah. Like I guess it wasn't that bad of a throw. Like it was high, but you can see his back foot just kind of go out from under him, and he kind of just like launches the ball a little bit. And so I'm telling you, the wet field was still playing a factor.
Yeah, I've never seen a rain delay impact a game in that kind of a sense. I mean, obviously we think of safety and stuff, and that's the whole reason we have rain delays. But in terms of like actually impacting the result of a game, here's the real question that many people have kind of debated over the last several years. Do you think the Chicago Cubs win the World Series in 2016 if they didn't have a rain delay? I don't know if that's something that would have. It's one of those things. It's kind of hard to tell if it had a direct correlation to the result.
It may have, because I think, if I remember correctly, they didn't at that point when the rain delay happened. They didn't exactly have a whole lot of momentum.
No, they didn't. They had they were down actually 7-6 going into the bottom of the ninth because of. Oh my gosh, the guy who hit the game tying or the game leading home run in the top of the ninth for the Indians. Or the bottom of the eighth, sorry.
Who was it?
Oh my gosh, why can't I think of his name? It'll come to me eventually, but it was an iconic thing too. The crowd went crazy. I'm running on maybe 5 hours of sleep right now, so I apologize if you're getting the name of this player and I'm not. But
I keep thinking Francisco Lindor, but I know that's
his name was not
World
Francisco
Series.
Lindor. I can tell you that much. But anyway, that being said, the Cubs didn't have a whole lot of momentum. So I think I agree. I think the Cubs owe part of their World Series in 2016 to that rain delay. Which
and that's
is
not to say they definitely would have lost if the rain delay hadn't happened, but I think that rain delay definitely bumped up their chances of, or like their, I don't know, not their actual win percentage, obviously, but like, I don't know, just kind of like the general. I don't know, their mojo, I guess. Yeah. It bumped it up like a lot.
I mean, we're not sports analysts. We're just meteorologists. Exactly. So what do we know? But, and I was going to ask you, too. So you've played your fair share of baseball and sports over the last several years. Have you ever had a rain delay that sticks out in your memory? Or
actually, so we had, God, I'm trying to remember. It was... I was playing Little League, or I guess it was Babe Ruth at that point, because I think I was in about 7th grade, and we had this is in New Jersey. We had a big thunderstorm roll through right before one of our games in district, and it was the game to send us to states, and I got delayed by like 2 days because the fields were just swamped. And if we had played on the day of the actual game, we would have had no pitching because it was double elimination. We were in the losers bracket. We had played, I think, 5 games in the last 4 days. And all our arms were shot. And then all of a sudden we got an extra day and we ended up winning and going to states, and it worked out. That's awesome. Which is hilarious.
Well, maybe that's another instance where a rain delay, impacts the result of something. Yeah. That's honestly kind of impressive.
Yeah. No, that's the only thing I can think of, though, as far as that's concerned. But no, I mean, just the weather having an impact itself just on sporting events, you can't really understate it, whether it's raining and the ball or whatever is wet, or it's cold and you feel different. Everything just hurts more when it's cold, especially with baseball.
Yeah,
because it's you swing a wood bat when it's cold out. Like, pitchers will adjust how they're pitching based off of temperature, because if it's cold out, you're trying to throw in on a guy's hands because they don't want to swing.
Yeah.
They don't want to get jammed, because you get jammed.
It hurts.
It's like 30, 40 degrees out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts in general getting jammed, but it hurts a lot more when it's cold out.
I will say, I do have a bone to pick with the football fans out there. I will say, if you're looking at baseball and thinking like, oh, you can't play in rain, you can't play in these extreme conditions, we can hit each other with pads on and helmets on while it's snowing and negative degrees outside. Look, try swinging a bat at a 90 mile an hour pitch in sub-zero weather. I guarantee you, if you hit it on the end of that bat, you are not going to be happy. You are not going to be happy.
No, you're going to be your hands are going to hurt for about 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my side rant. Anyway, that's a little bit about kind of more famous rain delays that we've seen in the history of sports. I'm sure there's more that I'm probably not mentioning, but the 2012 Rangers won, as well as the 2016 Cubs. Those are two that really stick out in my mind. Of course, we also talked about the Cowboys game this past week, as well as the Georgia Bulldogs game where you saw that big lightning strike. So that's a little bit about it. And of course, kind of keeping on playing with the Cubs thing, I want to mention this too before we go. If you hadn't heard already, kind of in the world of sports, Anthony Rizzo, who was part of that 2016 Cubs team and caught that final out from Chris Bryant as he was slipping on the wet ground, he actually announced his retirement today. So shout out to Anthony Rizzo. He did wonderful things for the Cubs organization. I know he was with the Yankees for a few years, so that's you're a Yankees fan, so that's a big retirement for you. He hasn't played for the Yankees since last year, I don't think.
No, he hasn't.
So congratulations to Anthony Rizzo if he happens to be somehow listening out there.
Good on him. What a career.
Yeah, what a career, man. What a career. What's going on in our weather department here in Central Texas? Well, obviously we've been kind of rolling out some different stories over the last few weeks. I most recently did one on the September outlook, but before we get to that, Brendan, I'm going to give you a chance. What have you been working on the last week or so in terms of your stories and stuff like that?
So I've got a package in the works about sundogs. We had a viewer send in a video and a couple pictures of sundog. You may have seen it outside. What was it?
I think it was like a few days ago.
Thursday, I want to say. Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday. It was kind of a good amount of just high wispy clouds, and the sun was shining through them, and it had a little bit of a halo around the sun. And I'm working on a package just kind of explaining why that is. Let's see, what else? There was a... Well, no, I guess that was old.
I think that's it.
Yeah, the other one was old, yeah.
Yeah,
Never mind.
So that one was from a previous episode of Weather Nerds, I'm sure. But yeah, so that's what Brendan's working on. Of course, our first alert meteorologist, Jillian Johnson, she's always working on Weather Extra, so you can probably catch his segment as well as the one I'm about to show you from my package from last week in this week's, or if not, actually I think mine was in last week's episode of Weather Extra. So if you want to check that out, feel free. I can show you where to find that here in a moment. But let's go ahead and take a look at this story that I put together from this past week. This is a kind of a comprehensive look at the September monthly outlook, what the Climate Prediction Center was expecting, or is expecting rather, and kind of the differences between meteorological and astronomical fall. I know there's a lot of different questions about that, so I answered some of those in this particular story. And of course, we'll kind of have a look at how things are going so far after we roll through this. So let's go ahead and take a look at this story. Central Texas just finished what was a cooler than normal and wetter than normal month of August. And with September now here, what can Central Texans expect? Believe it or not, September 1st was not only Labor Day, it was the start of meteorological fall. But is this the widely accepted official start of fall? Well, not quite. Meteorological fall is based on the calendar year and runs until November 30th. This is why you may not be feeling those fall conditions quite yet. Astronomical fall, on the other hand, is based on the Earth's position relative to the Sun and begins on September 22nd and goes until the winter solstice on December 21st. It is then that we can expect those slightly cooler fall conditions. By taking the average between the high temperatures and the low temperatures, you can calculate the average temperature for any given month. In September, Central Texas usually averages about 78.7 degrees for an average temperature, and these average temperatures will fall from October through December. But what are the odds that we hit that 78.7 degree average this year? Well, according to the Climate Prediction Center, Central Texas has equal chances to be above or below that 78.7 degree mark, with higher than normal temperatures expected to the north. And in terms of rainfall, Central Texas averages 2.87 inches of rain in September, just before October, which is usually the second wettest month of the year. And just like the temperatures, Central Texas can expect equal chances to be above or below that 2.87 inch mark, with higher chances for above normal totals to the north. So in reality, it's just a 50-50 chance for above or below normal temperatures and precipitation in September 2025. For KWTX, I'm First Alert Meteorologist C.D. Finley. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a look at the September outlook, as well as the differences between meteorological fall and astronomical fall. Of course, one being based on the calendar year, the other one being based on the Earth's position compared to the sun. So it's astronomical fall that we usually start feeling those fall conditions. We're definitely not feeling those fall conditions now, unless you're waking up early in the morning. You wake up early in the morning, 50s and 60s. Let me tell you, it's not bad.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go ahead and take a look here before we go. I'm going to show you all here kind of what we have coming up in your First Alert forecast. Of course, if you want the full details, feel free to go over to our website at kwtx.com/weather, or go and watch us at the noon show. I'll be doing the weather live at noon with Julie Hayes, so you can get some of the information there as well on Channel 10. But let's go ahead and take a look at your First Alert weather planner here. I'm going to see if I can pull this up where... well, actually, it may not be doable that way, but we'll just do it this way. All right, so there's a look at your weather planner. So as you can see, there's not too much different going on from what we've already been experiencing across Central Texas this past week. Kind of a slow warm-up. We've only hit 106 times this year, as a matter of fact, and likely not going to do that again anytime soon. Talking low to mid-90s through the next few days. Got a lot of sunshine. Those morning temperatures will start to slowly increase as well. Mid to upper 60s the next few days. Low 70s by the weekend. Of course, got that Baylor football game coming up on Saturday. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff against Samford University. And that's Samford, by the way, not Stanford. I kept wanting to say Stanford, but it's not. It's Samford.
Sounds way too similar.
It's way too similar. But the Samford Bulldogs are coming to town against Baylor in Waco at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Should have some wonderful weather for that, so not anticipating any rain delays or anything like that there, so that's good news. It'll definitely be a little bit toasty, though. Temperatures back in the mid-90s by then. So that's what we got going on in the weather department. Of course, you heard a little bit from Brendan about what he's working on with the Sundogs. You heard my story. Jillian's working on Weather Extra, as always. Sean Bellafury, he'll be back tomorrow doing the morning show. So, and of course, Chief Meteorologist Brady Taylor kind of killing it with just about everything else as always. So, and Degrees of Science as well. Speaking of Degrees of Science, if you haven't heard of Weather Nerds before and you are interested, you can go find all of the previous episodes of Weather Nerds on the Degrees of Science YouTube channel. Let me go ahead and pull that up here for you, kind of show you what I am talking about here, and make sure there's no audio. Perfect. So this is the Degrees of Science YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/Degrees of Science. Then you would be greeted by this homepage on the channel here. You can see all the most recent uploads, including the most recent uploads of Weather Extra. So if you missed this past weekend's Weather Extra, you can go check that out. Also, as well as the most recent episodes of Degrees of Science. Looks like Brady has one there on healthy aging. And of course, you can also find the most recent episodes of Weather Nerds. So of course, we're live here on Facebook on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. But in case you're not able to watch during that time, you can watch anytime you would like by going over to the podcast tab here on the Degrees of Science YouTube page, and you have a whole playlist right here. If you click on that, you can see all episodes from episode 2 to episode 17, and now of course episode 18. This one will likely be uploaded either sometime today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow if I had to guess. So that's where you can find all of the most recent episodes aside from here on Facebook Live. So I think that's going to about cover it for us here on episode 18 today. Brendan, was there any last final thoughts? Anything you wanted to share before we go?
No, not really. I mean,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
What shows are you doing? You're doing 5 and 9.
I'm doing
today, right?
I'm doing the 5 and the
Okay.
9 o'clock today. So sticking with the old afternoon thing. So yeah, you can catch me there.
Cool.
5 o'clock and 9 o'clock on CW.
Sweet. Yeah, 5 on KWTX, 9 on CW. Of course, I did the morning show today. I'm about to do the noon, so catch me over on Channel 10, KWTX at noon with Julie Hayes. Of course, Brady, he will be here today as well. He'll be doing the 4 o'clock show, the 4 o'clock talk show, which is fun, by the way, if you haven't seen that one before. And then he'll also be doing the 6 and the 10 o'clock news tonight. So I think that just about does it for us here on episode 18 of Weather Nerds. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you all again next week.
Solid.